Hello everyone and welcome back to Aussie Scrapper, and I have another layout for you today. It's a mixed media layout, and I just started off by going through my papers and I ended up picking, it's a Blue Fern Studios, it's called Generations. It's from the Attic Charms collection, I believe. I do think I do show that paper. Going crazy, and oh yep, there it is. So it's Blue Fern Studios Generations from Attic Charm. There you go. And these are the photos that I want to scrap, and it's of my wonderful son kissing his little sister, and she's not very happy about it. So originally I wanted to scrap all the photos, which I think there's 3 or 4. But it doesn't work out that way, and I only end up scrapping the one. It's just the way that, I don't know, for some reason I didn't like what I was doing with 3. But looking back on the video, I quite like it with 3 on there. So I don't know what I was thinking that day. Anyway, it doesn't matter. I next go looking for another piece of paper, and I find this one from Bella, and it's called Swells. It's from their Swells, Mittens, I don't know, it's from their wedding section. So even though this is not a wedding, it is all about brotherly love, which is what I'll end up calling this layout. I step away from my desk for 1 minute and my daughter takes over the layout. Look at her, such a pro at this. Anyway, she's a great help to me, especially when I have a creative block. She just comes up with lots of ideas, which is a great little helper. So I just went to my silhouette and I made these entwined love hearts, which I absolutely love. Only thing is, I think I should have made them a little bit bigger, but it doesn't matter. It still works in the end. So I'm just trying to find the paper to map my photos with, and I believe that that's the paper that I do decide on in the end. So what am I doing? Oh yes, rounding my corners. For some reason I wanted a softer feel to it, and I rounded the corners. And I'm just doing a small mat with some white spare cardstock that I had there. And, oh yes, have to round those corners, keep everything the same. Oh, and I'm inking those edges with some distress ink, and the colour is Bundle Saged. Gosh, I don't remember doing that, but obviously I did. And this is where I added onto that piece of sort of teal paper. And sorry, I do not know the name of that. It's just a scrap that I had in my piece. So rounding the corners again and more inking. There you go, all done. So back to the layout, and I want to try and get all photos on this layout. And looking at it now as I'm narrating, I quite like how that looks. But for some reason, I don't keep it there, and I only go with the one photo. Oh, there's my little helper telling me what to do. Because I'm stuck. I really was stuck at this stage. I didn't know how I was going to embellish or what. And I'm trying to work things out, and she's just bringing out all these rhinestones. Look at it. They're all appearing, and she's sliding them over to me. Oh my gosh. Anyway, she's helping, and I love these moments that we have together, so I won't complain too much. She was just going through all my stuff and trying to find things for me. So what I do? Yes, I inked that love heart, that doily love heart that I had, and inked it with the Bundle Sage, put it there. That looks quite nice. And I'm just going to try and work out, I've got these inked, what are they, cheesecloth that I had dyed for another project I never used, but I don't use it on this one either. So I'm back to I'm going to do some stitching. Oh, that's right, I forgot about the stitching. So I'm just poking some holes around the love heart, and I actually put that aside because I thought I would do it while I was in bed or stitching while watching TV, and I continued on with the layout. So I'm just gessoing the page because I'm going to do some mixed media, obviously, and just giving a light coat of gesso all over so that the paper can hold all the liquid I'm going to add. So I go in with the, what did I show you? The Kaisercraft, it's called Kaiser Mist. It's an iridescent spray and it's in the colour pink. So I'm just doing the packaging technique. Nothing too fancy. I think I'll fast forward all this. You don't really want to see it all. I'm going to also do the packaging technique with the Kaiser Mist iridescent spray in the colour apple. And all this is really fast just to make this video as short as I can possibly make it. I'm now just mixing some modelling paste with pale pink paint, acrylic paint that I had there. And I'm just going to do some stenciling. And this stencil is from the Reject Shop. And I really, really like these stencils. I think I've mentioned it in some other videos. Everything's all dry now. And here is the stitching that I did on that love heart. Quite like how that turned out. And I'm just now using my Gelatos to add a bit of more blue to the page. I just wanted it. Just that little tad of blue since there is a boy in it, so thought I'd represent him with a bit of the blue gelato. This cutter part that I'm cutting here is from the Bo Bunny collection, and I tried really hard to make it work on this layer, and I don't end up using it. But you'll see, and I really liked it because it said this made me smile, which it really did make me smile. So what I did is I just cut it, and I was going to try and make a tag out of it, which is what you see me doing here, just giving it a bit of a cut. And I put a hole in it and threaded some twine, pink twine that I had. Anyway, I really liked how that looks. And this made me smile. For some reason, I don't keep that there. So back to that Bo Bunny paper, and I'm just fussy cutting the flower that you see there. I don't believe I make you sit through all this. Oh, no, I don't. So there it is, and it does end up staying there, so yes, but I'm still trying to make that this made me smile work, but it doesn't, so I just leave it for the time being, and I move on with adding a bit more gelato, this time in some pink. And because I've got the gesso down there, it just makes things so much easier for the gelato to just glide across the page and smudge nicely. And I'm just doing it for a bit of contrast, add a bit of colour to it. And I don't really think too much about it. I just plonk it down and smudge away. And I do believe that at some point in time, I think that it looks a bit too dark. And I go in and I apply gesso all over it. I think it's this layer that I do that to. Oh my gosh, I'm starting to get dementia, I think. I can't remember what I did from one day to the next. Oh yes, there it is. It was a bit too, the red was just a bit too dark. It was too much. So I'm just softening it by smudging a bit of gesso over the top of it. And I'm going over the butterflies with a bit of gesso as well, just to highlight them a bit more. You can't really see it on the video, but in real life they look really, really nice. And so all the little butterflies, I just went around them with a bit of gesso just to feature them a bit more. And I've got a piece of cheesecloth here and playing with the tag still, trying to make it work. Can't make it work, so I move on to just sticking this flower down, and I've got some thin, really thin double-sided tape that I put there, and down goes those flowers and glue. Everything's now glued together, and I'm just playing with the cheesecloth. And I did stick it, oh no, there it is. I'm sticking it down using my Liquitex Heavy Medium Gel. And as I put it down, it sort of brings the cheesecloth, I'm sort of trying to wrinkle it to give it a bit of texture. And I really like that. I really liked how this turned out in the end. I'm going to have to remember to do this a bit more often, because I really like it. It looks really good, especially in real life. It just gives it so much texture. Just to add a little bit more texture to this layer, I'm using some of the Liquitex gel, and I'm just dipping the paintbrush into the gel medium, and then dipping it into some of these micro beads that I have there in sort of pink, and then just adding it to the cheesecloth wherever they fall, basically. I'll just spread it on there. If anyone knows of an easier technique of doing this, please let me know, because yeah, at this point in time, this is the only way I know of trying to get the microbeads on there. I just dip the paint in the gel medium and then onto the cheesecloth, onto the paper, and hopefully they stick. I'm just putting some of that thin double-sided tape on that bottom edge there, and I'm going to go in now with this lovely lace that I found in my stash. Didn't even know I had it, but it looks really nice there. And I turned the layout upside down and doing exactly the same thing to the top. So the top of the layer and the bottom of the layer will have this strip of lace, which softens the whole layout out. I quite like how it looks. And now for the title. So I'm using some thickers that are called Celebrate, and I do believe they're from American Crafts. And as I said earlier, the title is Brotherly Love. Oh yeah. So I'm going to use that tag there, and I'm adding some lines to it, and I'm going to do a little bit of journaling. For a bit more contrast, I'm going to add some colour to the cheesecloth, and using a small paintbrush, I'm using the Heidi Swap Colour Shine in the colour pink. And just dipping it in and just applying it wherever I see it necessary. I do fuss around with this cheesecloth for quite a while. I then decide that this pink is too dark, and you will see me go in with some white. It's some chalkboard Tattered Angels glimmer mist that I had, and there it is. And I'm just adding that onto it and just softening the pink, just to make it a little bit more paler and a bit more dainty and softer for the layout. When it all dried, I was really happy with the result, but when I went to bed, I really thought, I don't like this. This just looks awful. But the next morning when it had all dried, it looked really good. And now I'm doing exactly the same thing, but I'm using the Tim Holtz Distress Spray Stain, and the colour is Shabby Shutters. I will also be adding some shiny sequins to this layout, and there they are, because no layout is complete without a little bit of bling. And I just attach them using my heavy gel medium from Liquitex. And here is some quick close-ups of it. There will be some close-up pictures at the end of all this. And once again, thank you for all of you who have watched to the end. Until next time, bye my lovely friends.